We'll discuss the assembly of nut and bolt in this video. Before going to that, you should have a clear idea about the concept of degree of freedom in order to understand this assembly of nut and bolt in PROE. Already during the last theory class at SRM, uh, we have done this topic, that is week 12 theory class. If you do not remember that, I will attach a file along with these videos giving you an idea about the degree of freedoms. So moving on, first to do the assembly of nut and bolt in PROE, first we will set the working directory. As you can see, the directory has set as nut and bolt folder. Give OK. Then go to a new file, click on assembly. Then the subtype will be changed to design. Keep it at design itself. So assembly, design, change the name to nut and bolt assembly. Nut and bolt assembly, and keep the default template and give OK. Now on this particular window, scroll down to get millimeter Newton second ASM design, millimeter Newton second MMNS underscore ASM underscore design, and give OK. Now a window will pop up like this. In this, to do the assembly, first go to insert, component, assemble, and you click on assemble. A window like this will pop up. In this, that is having your that is the actual directory file folder will be popping up, and you will have the already saved files, that is a bolt and a nut, located in the folder. So you will pick bolt, which will be kept as the default object or the part in which we will be assembling the nut or the second part. So selecting on bolt and giving open, the bolt will be inserted. So coming down, you can see here some commands that you have not seen previously in part modeling. You can see a placement option, a move option, and properties which define the kind of object it is. This I'll discuss in detail when we are assembling the nut. So apart from this, you have a user designed option, that is to assemble general kinds of assemblies, the different kinds of assemblies it will be given here, as well as this is the ways of alignment, that is whether it is a mate, aligned, or insert, or is it on the edge or something like that. So you will understand this further when we are doing the assembly of the second part. And furthermore, there is one more option here, that is whether this is like to what extent it should be positioned, that is it should the two components should be positioned such that it will touch each other's surfaces, or it is offset by some distances or something. That is, the positioning will be given by this particular icon. By selecting this, we can give the position. Now the most important thing here is the status. You can see that the status is no constraint. Here is where the degree of freedom concept comes into picture. So no constraint means it has now 12 degrees of freedom. So how we are going to assemble this particular nut and bolt is that I will first fix the bolt in a particular position, and I will bring and attach or assemble the nut into that bolt, constraining all its degree of freedom, such that the status of both the nut and bolt will be changed from not constrained to fully constrained. Okay, so that is how I'll be doing it. If you do not understand, there's a better way is I will fix this bolt first and then bring the nut and assemble it such that it becomes a permanent structure which cannot move in any direction. Okay, so to change this status or to make this as the default object, so what I can do is I'll go to this automatic and change this to default. Okay, so when I change this to default, you can see that the status has been changed to fully constrained, meaning the bolt is fixed in that particular position. Now give tick mark and come out. So we have kept the bolt in the picture. Now we will insert the nut. So to insert the nut, go to insert, components, assemble, select nut from the directory, give open. So you can see that the nut has been opened. So since I drew both the nut and bolt in the top view, you can see that it will be positioned on the top plane. Okay, it will be positioned on the top plane. So now we will discuss these commands. Okay, so first I am going to use the move command. When I open this move, it will show translate, and that means that there are further options, orient it or rotate it or adjust it or something like that. So translate is selected by itself as default. So I can select this nut and I can move it around. Now this is a command for the nut window, so I can move the nut around and keep it or position it anywhere I want. Okay, in translator, that is in X and Y as well as Z direction, I can move the nut in X, Y, Z in translatory motion, not rotatory but translatory motion, and position it. Apart from that, you can even use rotatory rotate command to rotate it to some particular orientation or adjust some angle and all. We can give that. So why I did this, I took it from the bottom plane and kept it to the top, is because the next step I am going to do is I am going to align this nut along its axis to the axis of the bolt. So when I align this, what will happen is, if it was below, both the axes will merge and the nut and the head of the bolt will coincide with each other and it will be on the center axis. So to avoid that, or for you to understand what is happening properly, only I just moved it up. Okay, so going to the second part, placement. Here we have usually for an object you will define three conditions in order to make it fully constrained. Okay, so how I am going to fully constrain this nut with respect to bolt is that first I will align this nut to this axis, nut axis to the bolt axis, so that it can move only in this translate one track. It will only have left only translate motion and a rotatory motion. So just like that I will show you. So in first I have to align, so I'll select instead of automatic. If you use automatic also, certain times it will work, but at times what we are trying to do and what the system do by itself does not match. So it's better to select what you want to do, that is go for align. Okay, coincide, it's okay. So go for component or item. One is the axis. So it's pretty difficult with all these planes to select the axis, so I will go over to datum plane on or off and switch it off, and also these points also I will add the axis X, Y, Z and all those things I will just switch off for now. Only the axis, datum axis will be kept on. Okay, now I can see this datum axis and this datum axis over here. So now selecting the component item, I can pick the axis and align it with respect to the axis of the bolt. Okay, now you can see here that what happened, the axis of the bolt is aligned with respect to the axis of the nut. Now if I go to move, the constraints that I can do, and all the other degrees of freedom is restricted, except I can move this in translatory motion. This bolt can be translated along this particular axis once it is aligned. Apart from that, you can rotate it also along this. You can rotate it also along that axis. Okay, so two motions only